increase in excise taxes on cigarettes has sparked a massive price war in South Africa as manufacturers flood the market with untaxed cigarettes. This is according to a survey commissioned by British American Tobacco South Africa. The report shows nearly 3/4 of retail outlets in at least 3 provinces are openly selling illegal cigarettes in this country. The untaxed smokes are going for as little as 8 rands for a pack of 20s compared to the legal minimum collectible tax of 26 rand and 61 cents. Well, BATSA's general manager is Johnny Moloto, and he says the findings indicate a national emergency and is now calling for a commission of inquiry into the tobacco market. Johnny joins us now via our video link for more on this. It's great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks so much for making time to chat to us. I want to begin by making sure we're all on the same page. For those who struggle to follow the logic, help us understand how an increase in excise tax can lead to something like a price war in the industry.
Yes, thank you very much, Ayanda. I think it was a slip of tongue on your part. You said 26 rand 61, 21 rand 61.
Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so if we look at the illicit trade by nature, and this is something that has been in existence for quite a number of years now, since the early 2000s, and consistently we've seen an exponential rise simply because of the gap in enforcement. And whenever the excise rate, which constitutes the larger part of a pack of cigarettes, together with VAT, you find that a lot of the players have taken advantage of producing cheaper cigarettes that they then sell without duty being paid. And as I indicated, because of the gap in enforcement, this is a problem that was further accelerated during the sales ban, where the sale of tobacco products was prohibited. That led to a significant rise of the trade in illicit products, which at the time we went to the sales ban was sitting at around 41%. And by the latest count, we estimate that in the 3 provinces that were surveyed, it's sitting at around 74%, up from 69% in the previous study done in February.
So in layman's terms, if people are able to sell in the illicit markets, they can avoid paying tax and can therefore sell at a lower price.
That is quite correct. So these are cigarettes that are generally found in mostly your non-organized channels, which is mostly your informal channels. But for us, the concern is not mostly around those channels. It's actually the source of those channels. Hence, what you see in the report, there are specific manufacturers that are actually implicated in supplying the market with these illicit products. Because that means from the time that the product leaves the factory floor, it should have been taxed. So cigarettes are generally taxed, as they leave the factory floor. So you collect the excise on behalf of the government before it even leaves the factory floor. By the time it hits the market, excise should have already been collected.
Interesting you speak about who's implicated, because I've been watching the reaction to this report with questions in my mind as well. So part of what's being said by some players in the industry is that BATSA has commissioned this Ipsos report because BATSA itself is trying to change the narrative about ways through which it's implicated in the smuggling of cigarettes in places like West Africa. What's your reaction to that?
Thank you very much for that question. I'm glad that you raised it, that I hope we can finally put this matter to rest. So the OCCRP report that was conducted early in the year posed a couple of questions to us around those very issues. And because those issues largely concerned the group, the BAT group, those questions were referred to the group, and the group thoroughly responded to those questions. Sadly, the responses didn't seem to find themselves into the report that was finally published. So let me just bring you up to speed in terms of what the issue is here. So the way we manufacture in South Africa, BATSA, which now they are accusing us of oversupplying the market in Mali specifically, BATSA produces on behalf of the group, which then sells on to Sonatam, which is the Mali state-owned cigarette company. From our side, and here I can give you the actual numbers that were produced instead of the numbers that actually are touted in the public domain. In 2018, we produced 2.4 billion sticks as per order that were exported to Mali. In 2019, we produced 2 billion sticks as per order that were exported to Mali. And last year, during the sales ban, which allowed for exports, we couldn't produce for local consumption, but we could produce for exports. And we exported 1.7 billion onwards. Now, once those cigarettes reach their destination, they are governed by strict BAT standards against illicit trade. And those standards also are compliant with both OECD and European standards. Sorry, not OECD, by the way, European, UN, and other international standards of trade in these tobacco products. So there is no question about us having oversupplied the market with these cigarettes.
So you're saying that that report by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project erroneously implicated implicated BATSA in some of the smuggling that's taking place in Mali. It becomes difficult to appreciate that. I mean, why would you be targeted by this report?
I don't know, because even during the sales ban, if you recall, SARS carefully managed all the factories from a production and export point of view. So there would be no room for any BATSA product to have left the market without any cigarette stick being properly declared. And as we speak, for example, we have production counter regulations that govern how many cigarettes we produce, and we declare each and every cigarette stick we produce on a daily basis, 7 days a week.
What it does point to, though, is the incredible amount of division that's currently taking place in the sector itself. The Fair Trade Independent Tobacco Association, as well as the South African Tobacco Association, have all really spoken out quite strongly against the Ipsos report itself, the role that BATSA plays in the market, and the implications thereof. How do you envision anything like an inquiry in the industry will get the necessary backing in the context where it appears everyone is pulling in different directions?
Well, that is why we are throwing this back to the authorities, because only they can be a fair arbiter in this regard. We ourselves cannot investigate ourselves. However, what I can tell you for certain is that the research that we conducted followed a proper methodology and was conducted by an independent entity, and it was for the purpose of ensuring that when we engage government or when we raise the issue of illicit trade, it's not just a thumbsuck, but it's based on empirical evidence. Hence, we commissioned the report.
Would it be easier to track who's not playing ball in a context where everyone agreed about how the industry should actually operate? Would you concede to that?
That is a very good question that you are raising, Ayanda, because that's one of the calls that we've made to government. Government ratified the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control a couple of years ago. And that Framework Convention also has an illicit trade protocol. That illicit trade protocol has not yet been ratified by South Africa. And we've been urging government to ratify that convention, because what that protocol ensures is standards of how to track and trace the production of tobacco products from end to end, so that each and every cigarette stick produced in the market is accounted for. And yet again, through this platform, we call on government to ratify that protocol so that those standards can be implemented, and they will be implemented and monitored by government across the industry.
What justification is government giving to why this illicit trade protocol hasn't been ratified yet?
Well, unfortunately, Ayanda, we have not been able to actually get an audience or have an opportunity to have an engagement with government. Whenever we get an opportunity on platforms like this that we are raising this issue, we have actually even written to the Department of Health to call on them to sign this protocol, and as well as to the Portfolio Committee on Health to actually urge the Department of Health to ratify the protocol.
The greater scheme, of course, is that the South African government is the one who loses, despite what's actually happening in the industry itself. From your reading, how much money are we talking about here that's actually being lost to the illicit market because of various things, including the fact that major players don't simply see eye to eye on these issues?
Yeah, so for example, last year it is estimated, okay, for this latest ending tax year, government is estimated to have lost around 5.8 billion. That is official records that are given, but by our estimation, we think that would be more. Because I think there's just an underestimation of the size of the illicit trade by other observers. In our estimation, we think the illicit market is far higher than what is estimated by other third parties. So it's not only a loss to the fiscus, Ayanda, it's also putting consumers at risk, because suddenly consumers are being exposed to procuring illicit products. That in its own is a crime. So this is something that is not often spoken about, but if we're looking at a prevalence of over 50% of the market nationally being illicit, that is quite a serious concern. Hence, we say this is a national emergency. For example, you'd appreciate, Ayanda, if on an annual basis the Minister of Police announces the crime statistics and he says there's been an increase by so many percentage in this crime area. Naturally, all of us, are up in arms and saying government must do something. So we are also not unique in that regard in saying that government should do something, because this is an issue of great concern to us as well, who are paying their fair share of tax.
Absolutely. Well, in the midst where, again, it appears there's a great discord within the industry itself, I can't seem to find a way forward, but hopefully one will be found sooner than later. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate your side of the story. Important to emphasize that. Johnny Moloto is BATSA's General Manager. BATSA, of course, is British American Tobacco South Africa. Johnny, once again, thanks very much indeed.